and welcome to FidelityNext. I'm Nicole Coriale. In our interconnected world, technology permeates every aspect of our daily lives, powering our routines and shaping our future. Constant evolution underscores its omnipresence, making a career in this dynamic space not just viable, but essential, as technology shows no signs of fading away. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Fidelity Canada Director of Emerging Technologies, John Bradley, and Automation Manager, Magalhaes, for a look at how Fidelity is using the latest technologies and the exciting opportunities available for students. Welcome, John and Andre.
Thanks for having us.
Hi.
This is really exciting. I personally love technology, and prior to joining Fidelity, I was not aware that we even had an emerging tech team, department. Can you break down briefly this team, how long it's been with Fidelity, and your current roles?
Absolutely. So the emerging tech team, the structure of the team itself is we act as internal technology consultants. And what we try to do is identify emerging technology trends and figure out who would best be suited to take advantage of these trends within the internal departments, and then try and assess, okay, well, is it mature enough to adopt now, or should we keep it on a roadmap for some time in the future? And the way that this breaks down into actual teams is we have an automation team, we have an emerging tech research team, and then we have an artificial intelligence team. And they specialize in those various areas, and they follow kind of the technology related to their specific area of expertise. The team's been around for 4 years now, and we're constantly growing. And I think a unique feature of the team that I'd like to highlight is that we utilize student resources in a unique way, in an agile development fashion. So we can definitely talk more about that later.
That's awesome. How did you guys get your start in emerging tech? What led you here to Fidelity?
Yeah, I'll start. I graduated with a computer science degree. I was a software developer for a couple of years before going back to school and getting my MBA, trying a couple different things, business analyst, project manager, before settling at the emerging technology team at Fidelity 3 years ago, where I got to utilize all my different hats and experiences and help grow the team. Like, I really got drawn to the fact that we're trying new things, and in particular the automation space, and got to be part of growing the team and building it to what it is today, and eventually got promoted to team manager from individual contributor.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I wish my story was as linear as Andre's, but I've had a few more zigs and zags. So I actually started in agriculture, and I was a farmer and growing tomatoes in Ontario. And then from there, I went to get a business degree, landed at Fidelity, and then worked my way through the product research team, and then into marketing. Along the way, I went back to night school for computer science, and then when an opportunity arose to start the emerging tech team here in Fidelity Canada, I was lucky enough to get that. So from there, I've continued education in terms of digital media and various other kind of different skill sets. And then we built the team out from there. So Andre was one of the first people that joined, and he's been a great asset to us ever since.
Paths like yours are great to hear, especially for students listening who might be in an undergrad field that's not necessarily related to emerging tech, but are interested in it. And it's just a message that you can move around and you can make your way into this space. Artificial intelligence is not a new concept, but it really has gained momentum within the last year because of the rise of ChatGPT, which has sort of thrown everyone for a loop and changed how things work. Yeah. How has AI evolved just in the last year? And what are some of the new trends you're seeing in AI in relation to the financial space?
Yeah, absolutely. So it seems like this year in particular, artificial intelligence as a topic has exploded, and that's been driven by ChatGPT being in the media. In terms of the kind of evolution of the AI space, I think the number one thing that's happened this year is that it's become much more accessible. I mean, historically, artificial intelligence was a niche skill set that not many people had. And so it was difficult to then take those skill sets and apply them in a business context. What the evolution of AI led by ChatGPT has done is meant that people don't necessarily need to have that expertise in order to utilize artificial intelligence. Now you can go to a website, you can type something in plain English, and that can be converted into code. You can apply different types of AI models. So it's become much more accessible, not only to kind of us within the enterprise, but also to people at home, whether that be students, our parents, basically anybody. And that's been exciting because it's allowed us to start applying AI technology to places where it might not have been applied to before, just because there weren't enough people experimenting. But now it's being applied everywhere, and that's creating a lot of opportunity and a lot of innovation along the way.
How is Fidelity using AI these days?
We're, like I was saying, so we're using AI across the organization in multiple different ways. A few, I think, of the more exciting applications, we're using AI to help generate new forms of content. So with things like generative AI, which is AI that can create new pieces of written information or new audio or new visual types of content, we're able to repurpose things that have been created, like this webcast potentially, and turn it into new unique forms of content. So generating new content from old content, generating new content started from zero. That's one very exciting thing that we're doing within Fidelity, as well as being able to help us become more efficient by processing large volumes of information. That could be in the legal department if we're looking for particular clauses in contracts or looking for various types of information. We can apply things like AI to extract that for us much faster, as well as looking at using it to help personalize more information. So if we're looking at various forms of automation, we can use AI to help assist us. And Andre, I know that you've used it in a few separate areas. Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I think less sexy processing documents, and it really helps a lot in that sense, because AI, takes away the human element and human error of reading through a document and figuring out what's the important piece of information that we need.
Anything that can make navigating an Excel spreadsheet easier is amazing to me.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's not my strong suit.
That's our bread and butter.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I've done some creeping around the office, some exploring, and noticed that Fidelity has some VR headsets. What are those used for?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So the VR headsets, what we're using it for is for experimentation. So recently, VR, AR kind of exploded on the scene, much like artificial intelligence did. So what we wanted to do as an emerging tech team is we wanted to bring it into the office. We wanted to experiment with ourselves, try to identify, certain use cases where it could be of value. Considering a lot of us are kind of working hybrid or remote, people feel like they're getting different experiences by being on Zoom calls all day. So could we use AR and VR, say, to improve that interaction? So we feel like we're getting a better opportunity to collaborate. So that's one example. Another example of how we're using AR and VR is for educational purposes. So there are certain concepts that are more difficult than others to kind of understand in a 2D space. So if we can then convert that to a 3D forum, it makes it much easier to understand. So things like compound interest and other financial education aspects become easier to understand if you can touch and feel them via AR, VR headset. So we have those in the office, and we're asking as many people as we can to try them on and give us their feedback, because by experimenting and getting as many people to test it out as possible, we generate new ideas that maybe we weren't thinking of. So that's kind of how we're using them.
So then after this webcast, I will be your next test subject to use them and give you my feedback, because I really want to try those out.
Yeah, that would be great.
And maybe we can even have a webcast in the future in the metaverse.
That would be really exciting.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the top of the program here that you're strong supporters of the Fidelity student program. Could you dive into that a bit more, and the student program that we have with the emerging tech team?
Yeah, definitely. We're strong supporters of co-op students. I myself was a co-op student during university, so I know the value that I can provide. It's mutually beneficial. We get to teach them, give them a real world experience. We get to get resources out of them and help our team grow. The day-to-day lives of student is not dissimilar to a full-time employee. We, give them all the same responsibilities and opportunities as anyone else, working on, projects from start to finish, from engaging with stakeholders, requirement gathering, to development, to deployment and support. So they really get the full experience that, a full-time employee gets.
Are there any fun or exciting projects that they're currently working on or have worked on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, one of the examples that John was talking about, processing documents for the legal department, that was a co-op student that worked on that. Another really exciting project is building a mobile app and web application for the holiday party that's coming up, to help streamline registration and check-ins. So that's a co-op student taking the lead on that project.
And just to jump in, the AR/VR headsets as well, we had co-op students working directly with that, helping to distribute and collect feedback. So it really runs the gambit from artificial intelligence projects, AR, VR, automation. So really, it's unique in the sense of the variety of experiences that are available to the co-op students. And as Andre was mentioning, I think the other unique aspect is that they take full responsibility for delivery and they work together in an agile student team. Right. So it's a lot of like-minded individuals working together to deliver projects, and it's not the same thing every day. It kind of changes frequently. So I think that's very unique.
What degrees are most of the co-op students pursuing that are on your team, and do they necessarily have to be in engineering or computer science to apply?
Yeah, good question. Majority of our students are in the STEM field, engineering, computer science, but not all of them. We've had students with business degrees joining our team, or science. What we're really looking for is someone with the figure it out attitude and a strong interest in emerging technologies, whether it's AI, research, or automation, and the go get them attitude and figure it out. Because it's a no-code, low-code platform for the automation space, you don't need to have that technical background. As long as you have a strong interest. We've been working with co-op students, so we have a pretty good onboarding process and training regimen and the support team there. So people get ramped up to know how to start producing pretty quickly.
I'm a big believer that no matter what field you go into, whether you're from STEM or not, it's extremely important to have great communication skills. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that would be imperative in this line of work as well, considering I think that's one of the things that distinguishes, AI from us, or, is to have good communication skills. So is that also something I would assume you look for in a candidate?
Definitely. That's, if not the most important, one of the most important things we're looking for in a candidate. Because whether or not you have the technical expertise to execute, if you don't know what you're executing on because you're not communicating properly and understanding what the problem you're trying to solve is, then it doesn't matter if you're the most technical person in the world, right? So I've always been a big proponent of having strong communication skills, strong inquisitive skills to understand what the underlying problem is that you're trying to solve and communicating the solution effectively. Otherwise, the solution is as good as nothing.
We've all seen how fast and how quick the tech landscape changes. Next year, this time, something completely new will, blow us away. What are you most excited for, or is there anything that you'd like to see emerge in the tech space that maybe hasn't fully been developed yet?
Well, with ChatGPT, it's on everyone's mind right now, and it's just getting more and more integrated into everything that we're using. So I'm more interested in seeing what the next iteration of that. We're going to start seeing it in using our phones, in our day-to-day activities. How is it going to lead to improving our lives at work? So I think we're just scratching the surface, and there's a lot people are discovering on a day-to-day basis there.
Is there opportunity for co-op students to become full-time with Fidelity?
Yeah, for sure. We have a recent example. We had one of our recent co-op students went back to school but continued on with us part-time until he graduated, and then upon graduation we hired him full-time. And that's the ideal scenario. Obviously that can't work all the time, but that's a big thing that we like about the co-op program is it allows students to try different roles, see what fits for them, see if they're a good fit for us, and gives them a leg up against the competition, which is other students that may not have work experience at Fidelity or in other places.
How does Fidelity approach integrating new technologies into our systems or processes? Because I know it's sort of a gray area when things are new and emerging.
Right. Yeah.
So how do we go about trying out new things or going down that path?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of it depends on the particular technology, but we always start with researching and trying to understand as much as we can about the new technologies. For example, say ChatGPT. We want to really understand what are its capabilities, what is it good at, what is it not good at. So once we have kind of a conceptual understanding, then we want to experiment with it. So a lot of times what we find is new technology, there's a bit of a hype to it. And so, everybody's talking about these things that it can do, but when you actually put it into practice, they're not as good or not as accurate as advertised. So once we've done the research, we experiment, and then we go through the process of trying to onboard that technology. So that's figuring out, where does it exist within Fidelity? Is it a marketing tool? Is it a sales tool? Is it an IS or an IT tool? And then once we've established kind of where it lives, it's going through all the appropriate process and procedures. So making sure that we're going through the contracting process to make sure that our data is being protected. We're putting in appropriate security. We're checking all of our boxes from that perspective, and then making sure that we set it up efficiently to scale, because we want to make sure that we're using these technologies into the future to maximize the benefit both to our internal stakeholders and to our external clients. So it can, from start to finish, it can kind of take a little while, but we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to adopt this technology in a safe and responsible way and to maximize its value.
Of course. So there are 3 sort of sub-departments within emerging tech: research, automation, and AI.
Yeah.
For co-op students, do they get to dabble into each at all, or are they sort of set into one subcategory when they apply for their placement?
No, we keep it flexible. For any student, we look at what their experience and technical skills are and see what their best fit is for them, but also what they're interested in. Even once they get put into that team, there's a lot of cross-functional working together, collaboration, where there's students in the automation team are going to do a research topic or article. There's someone from the AI team going to be working on an automation task that they're interested in. So there's a lot of collaboration and opportunities to work across the 3 teams.
And what I would say too is that we always encourage the students, regardless of where they're working or kind of their specialized area, to explore opportunities deliberately outside of that area, because they may have started in automation, but by exploring the things that they're interested, it might turn out that they're a better fit for, say, the artificial intelligence side or the research side. And what we're really looking for is that mutually beneficial experience. So we want the students to enjoy themselves and find exactly what they want to do, because we appreciate that, even though they're with us now, they're still figuring out, what their future holds, what their first job, at a school is going to be. And we want to support that exploration and that journey. So kind of on top of exploring within our own department, our own emerging tech area, we also encourage them, If they want to look into finance, they want to look into marketing, we'll facilitate those conversations with those departments, because it's really a learning experience for them. And if they're happy, with us, then they're more likely to come back and they're more likely to refer their friends. So we encourage them that exploration as a bit of a try before you buy, because we want them to have a great experience so they can kind of advertise on our behalf.
That's wonderful to hear. That question was for past me, because I know I would have been one of those students who probably started in one area and then realized, I actually kind of want to dabble into this, and then, find my way that way. Okay, I want to end our conversation on a fun note. So if you could use AI to solve any everyday annoyance of yours, what would it be?
Okay, good question. I'm not a fan of commuting, so I want self-driving cars to get here today, because that is an everyday annoyance for me, for sure. That I would love to see. Yeah,
I would like to, I was going to say sleep. get in some extra Z's on my way to work.
Nothing wrong with that.
That would be helpful, for sure. What about you, John?
For me, it would be if you could somehow help my golf game. It's awful. I just got back into it, and the pros make it look so easy, and then I go and pick up a club, and it's embarrassing.
Like, how hard could it be?
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
It is
so
difficult.
if I could use AI to somehow swing a club for me, but I could take the credit for it, I think I'd probably take that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. This has been a very exciting conversation. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Fidelity Next. We hope you're feeling inspired to start exploring the world of tech in places like Fidelity. If you're interested in working with the Fidelity Canada team, you can browse our current opportunities via careers.fidelity.ca. If you want to rewatch the show or share it with those who missed it, you can find it under Fidelity Canada's LinkedIn events. For Fidelity Next, I'm Nicole Coriale, and we'll see you on the next episode.